Kirk here with Attack Gaming. We are with Akil and Holly with SOE. We are at SOE Live 2014 in Las Vegas. It's beautiful. Thanks for having us. We are talking about EverQuest 2, and in particular right now the 11th expansion, which is the Altar of Malice. And you guys have a laundry list of new features. I had to write them down because there were so many. I'm going to go over them real quick. So you're going to have level 100, 6 new advanced zones, 2 overlands, trade skill apprentices, rare ancient spells, 6 new raids, 2 contested zones, 4 new avatars, grandmasters, and guild level 100. What did I miss?
The partridge in the pear tree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is a ton of stuff coming with the 11th expansion. What is, like, your favorite part about this new expansion?
For me, one of the things I'm really excited about is for our overland zones, we created a brand new terrain tool. So we're going to see, or you will see, the zones are completely beyond compare in terms of blending and appearance and how they match with the characters, and it's super immersive, and performance is improved at this point. Thematically, my favorite is Broken Skull Bay, which is the pirate zone. A lot of really awesome. It's vertical gameplay. It's just incredible. It's amazing. We're really excited for people to see it. And of course, everything we showed is just work in progress. So there's so much of it, so much more is going to come to life. It's going to be great. Yeah. Your
favorite part of the expansion?
My favorite part is that we just told a story, had a quest line called The Ages End, which has been the story that EverQuest 2 has basically been telling since launch. And so we just wrapped that up 2 weeks ago. And so now we get to forge into brand new territory and tell new stories in some new ways. In terms of visually, my favorite zone is the Altar of Malevolence, which is that kind of dark and twisted bone palace.
You're also introducing a new race, Arakan, right? Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us a little about the Arakan.
The Arakan, visually, they're a really incredible race. Akil can give some background of what their origin story is, because we did see them in the expansion. That was our introduction. But as players, they're very advanced intellectually, as you can imagine. They're part dragons, so they do have wings and they have horns. The horn patterns that our artist chose are reminiscent of dragons we have in the game. So you'll be able to feel some association with actual characters and dragons in the game. And of course, you're born with wings, so eventually you'll be able to fly them with them.
That's
so
really
you
cool.
Come built in with like your own mount. So yeah, and of course we didn't show any comparison to our existing characters, but just the level of detail in this new race is just incredible, and they're beautiful and sexy and amazing. Yeah.
A little bit of the lore of the Arakan.
Well, I don't want to tell too much, because through the city quest, we're going to go into a lot of detail about their lore and their origin stories. But they are going to be tied to the Arakan from the last expansion, as well as some of the old dragons and old draconic history. So they're really tied into the current lore and the historical lore of Norath.
There is a new zone that's like upside down. Mm-hmm. You said that was difficult to kind of plan and develop. Like, why did you want to do an upside down zone, and why was it so difficult?
We thought it was really cool. Like, we had this idea of the Shreza Temple falling from the sky and landing in the Shattered Seas. And so it was this concept that we came up with that we thought would be really interesting to explore. But then as soon as we drew the maps and the artists started building in there, they realized how difficult it was to have these. Every room was a challenge, right? Every time they had to figure out how to go up a staircase, they had to come up with a new way to go up a staircase that was upside down, and little things like the frames around doorways. And they had to figure out ways to get over all of them without them seeming super repetitive. And then little things like they built all these amazing murals and then had to flip them over, and they were kind of sad about that, because they have these awesome, beautiful murals that are now upside down. So it ended up I think it's going to pay off, but it ended up being really challenging to everyone in a lot of different ways.
And for our artists, too, it's very important for them. They've painstaking efforts to make sure that the traveling paths and progression doesn't feel totally contrived. Like, obviously it's upside down. They had to put this thing here so that you could actually travel through. So it's blended together really well thematically. It's amazing.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Yeah.
There's new enemies. You're going to have, like we mentioned, dinosaurs. There's the pygmies, which were really cool. They were awesome looking. Yeah. You have like these non-undead, undead. Explain that again. They were like, they want to be dead?
Yeah, so they worship Lannis DeVille, who's the demigoddess of malice, and And so they worship the undead, but they don't want to kill themselves to become undead. They're trying to get themselves as close to being undead without actually killing themselves. So they flay their skin off. They drive pieces of bone through their body. Really dark and sinister, a little emo.
Very morbid.
Right, yeah. And Lannis DeVille, if it wasn't clear in the key art for the expansion, she's our main character, the main villain in this story, yeah.
Grey Mass is the main bad guy for most of it, but she's the key player as well.
Yeah. She's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then there was spider bears, bear spiders.
Yeah,
What?
We'll have to send you the spelling, but
yeah.
they're called the Urzarak, kind of like Urza for bear and Iraq for Urzarak. Yeah, they're cool. They're scary. I love them. They're just kind of like mean-looking creatures who's not afraid of bears and spiders. So put them together, that's real terror, right?
It's like the dartboard of creatures. You know, hit a spider, hit a bear.
Were they fun to design, or when someone came to you with that idea, you're like, how am I going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I wish I could show you the first concept art, because one of the designers actually just like said spider, bear, right, and just put them together. But then we started getting concept for them, and it was like, those things are really scary and they're going to look awesome. And so, I mean, it seemed like kind of a goofy thing, but as soon as people started working on it and seeing what it's going to actually look like, I was like, oh yeah, the creature's going to work and it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah, they're cool.
Nice. So was there anything that we missed for the Altar of Malice expansion?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton coming. Anything like that you want to tell the audience, like this is like the coolest part?
Wow, I mean, it's just a huge. So one of the things that that's really important to us was in January we talked about this year we wanted to make a really robust expansion. So it's definitely meatier than Tears of Vishan. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, so that's our commitment, to make sure there's a ton of stuff to play and it's fun. And level 100 is a big deal. This weekend at SOE Live we'll be talking about some of the new abilities that are coming that we've not had anything like them. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. It's kind of taking EverQuest 2 to the next level, which it seems like we do every time we have an expansion, and it gets better and it's always relevant. And while it's our 10-year anniversary, we look around at the other games out there and we look just as good, if not better. So yeah,
I love it all. I don't know how I could. I don't know how I could pick which part, but yeah.
And for this 11th expansion, when is kind of the release date we have set?
So the expansion's releasing on November 11th for all access members who get exclusive access for 2 weeks, and then it opens up for all players on November 25th.
So just 2 weeks later.
Yep, exactly 2 weeks. Yeah.
All right, that's the 11th expansion for EverQuest 2. Thank you, appreciate it.